That's all right.
Okay. Yeah, but these young people just ruin their lives up. All right, are we taking things out of order?
I'm gonna let Jim go first, and then what did you guys want to do out of order?
Ask him if it's okay if we don't.
I just talked to him, he said he has another meeting. So I said he didn't. All set? Good evening. The hour of 5 o'clock having arrived. The Public Safety and Licensing Committee is now officially in session. Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes from March 12th, 2025.
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Our next agenda item is 026825, and Amber, I'll let you finish up.
Communication sponsored by Alder Kelly to have the city administrator provide an update at the Public Safety and Licensing Committee on the Health Department study that was passed in the 2024 and 2025 budget.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, members of the committee. I can give you the report and the update in terms of what's happened this year on discussions about consolidation of services between city and county health departments, and that is that there's not really an awful lot to report. There is the $15,000 that was allocated towards any kind of a study. That $15,000 is currently in the Finance and Personnel queue under item 1007-24. It has not been taken up by the Finance and Personnel Committee. I had a brief exchange with Alder Kelly about this a month or two ago, just in terms of what has happened thus far. And that was at that point waiting for discussion between the new county executive and the mayor. That has since there has been at least one discussion there. I met myself, the mayor, County Executive Melicky, and their chair of the Health and Human Services, Hope, and we had a discussion about this. And we talked about the possibility of a further or greater in-depth study. The discussion that had been done previously with the Wisconsin Policy Forum, City Racine wasn't a full participant in that. I think that the mayor in particular wants to have further discussion and review on a number of different areas that weren't explored by the Wisconsin Policy Forum. The county is not willing to take that up at this point. So where we left it at the end of our last discussion was an agreement to continue the discussion. And when I communicated last with Hope from the county, we talked about bringing that up later in the year, which would probably be a discussion with members of the health department from both city and county, at least at the beginning, the county executive and the mayor, who would probably just do a welcome, and the rest of us would discuss this in an either half or full day meeting, but the time on that hasn't yet been determined. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions of the committee? Yes.
Thanks.
Sure.
Administrator Sullivan, I'm trying to recall, and I'm having a hard time, and maybe it's just because of the timeline of when you came aboard. When did you come to the city again?
In June of 24.
Okay. And so it was actually in 2023 that we approved this policy for the 2024, for this Wisconsin Forum policy.
The Wisconsin Policy Forum study, yeah.
And so it was actually in 2023. And, I know you're jumping kind of in the middle of it, but I don't know if you can speak to this, but what baffles me is what the council members approve on a budget needs to get rolled out. I'm not sure how administration can stop the will of the council and can override that. So we approved it for the 2024 budget, and we're in 2025, and there's already, the sounds of it, this push out to still continue to have these conversations when it was approved for the 2024 budget. And I know that the city had asked for it to go through the proper processes of putting an RFP out. I think in the Wisconsin Policy Forum was the one who fairly won that and tried to proceed forward. And now we're sitting now and there's no movement on it. And it seems that, again, the way I'm looking at it is that administration has taken the liberty to override the will of the council to get that completed. And from your discussion with us this evening, it sounds like we still don't have this timeline, and it might even roll into the next budget cycle.
I think that what had been allocated was $15,000 to engage in a study of whether or not there was opportunities here for collaboration or improvement in services. And I think that discussion about whether or not there's room for collaboration or improvement in services is still happening. I think that the Wisconsin Policy Forum study of itself, which is, I think, what you're referring to, that was brought in the budget in 2023 to go to 2024, seems that the city of Racine was not a full participant in that study, and that the Wisconsin Policy Forum was kind of a predictable outcome. I mean, the outcome that Wisconsin Policy Forum recommended is that what the Wisconsin Policy Forum does in a number of circumstances, which is consolidation is good. I know that on the part of the city, there's serious reservations about that, including the fact that when you look at the overall funding of public health per county in the state of Wisconsin, and these numbers are a little old. I got this out of actually a Wisconsin Counties Association Green Book study from 2022. But out of all 72 Wisconsin counties, Racine County funds public health per capita lower than any other county in the state. In fact, Racine County funds public health at a rate that is less than one-half the statewide average. Given that kind of funding, that kind of commitment or lack of commitment to public health, I know that the city, the health department, the mayor have some serious reservations about that, which is why I think that they didn't simply accept whatever recommendation Policy Forum might have made, but rather are saying, in spirit of what the council asked us to do, which is to examine opportunities for consolidation or improvement of services, then we are having that discussion. And in terms of what's happened so far this year that I can report that I've been involved in, that was one conversation between County Executive Malicki and Mayor Mason and Hope and myself, and an agreement to meet to discuss further later in the year.
Can I?
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you. So maybe I look at this just a little bit different, and I don't need to get in the weeds. I know you're just here to tell us where we are at that study, but I hear there's a bit of a philosophy difference here, where there's this equation where if you pay less, you're getting less, a lower quality of service. And I'm of the other. Right now, the health department, and there is this drastic growth in our use of our levy for the health department over the last couple of years. And right now, the quality, the service that the county is providing, and that the Wisconsin Policy Forum, they tried to do a study way back when there was a consolidation with all of the other county municipalities. And the city is the only one who made it difficult by not releasing their data to get a full report. And so it was hard for the Wisconsin Policy Forum to really have a good conclusion by including the city's health department in that. But the county is the same level of health department as the city, and it is a high star standard of service. And so, but for less money. You're talking about less means quality is less, but the quality is not less. The quality only becomes less because the city is the only one who doesn't get to access the same service as all the other 16 municipalities. The 17th municipality is the city, and the city has chosen to be a standalone. And there also is a trend that's come out of the Wisconsin Counties Association where health departments are collaborating across the board, not only in Wisconsin, but throughout the nation. And, you know, I'm not here to argue that, and I know you're not here to argue it either, but it's just, I need to put out there that it's a different philosophy in regards to, do we choose to say a narrative because the county is only charging so much burden on the taxpayers, which is by far less than the city, that means it's a lower quality of service. I want to squash that right now because that's false. But I would really like the city to fully participate, even if, it sounds like they don't want to hear the outcome, so they're choosing not to participate. Rather than participate, let this be a transparent process, and then let the city say, you know what, this may be the outcome, we don't agree with it. Then be at that, but let the data be the data. Let it go through the process. Quit trying to halt the process, go through, and then put your perspective out there, and let it be the will of the council and the administration to move forward from that point. But I feel like it's a little gamey. By playing these games, we don't get the data that I think we're all owed, and for proper decisions to be made. We're almost being forced to make a decision on incomplete data, so.
Are there any other comments or questions? Yes.
Just a question from the administrator. You made a comment that the county pays less per capita than any other county. Could that be because the city of Racine has a health department and that we're not factoring in what city of Racine residents pay for health?
Sorry about that.
State call.
Long, very long distance. I was trying to turn the flashlight off.
To answer your question,
Let the
Alderman
chair finish with his phone.
Widener.
Sorry about that. I was trying to turn it off.
I don't know the reason why the county's numbers, in terms of what they invest in public health,
I didn't ask
are
you
what they
why.
are.
I'm saying, is it because that the county has this much, the city has this much, so if you combine the two together and compare to other counties, it would be the same?
That would be worth taking a look at. I don't know, I don't know what the reason is why Racine County shows at $157 per capita. And again, this came from the County Association, it's 2022 data, but it says HHS spending statewide averaged $373 per resident. Racine County was $157, which is less than half of that, and dead last. So I think that's part of the reason why there's some concern on the part of city and city residents as to whether or not that is necessarily the cart that we want to put our apples in.
So what is the city of Racine per capita spending?
I don't know.
It would be important to know, because if city of Racine is spending an equivalent amount of dollars that would make it equivalent to other counties, then that would explain why the county per capita is so low, because of what city of Racine residents are paying themselves for health care. And the other question that I had is in regards to what was funded in 2024 was $15,000 for a study, correct?
Right.
That we were to give that to the county to contribute toward the study that the county and the city were to agree upon would conduct the study. But it seems to be, rather than having this study done, there's been a determination made in the administration that it isn't necessary to do a study because we've already determined that you don't want to collaborate with the county. I mean, that's the way it appears.
Yeah, I don't know that the $15,000, because again, this was allocated before I got here, and I did make some attempt to research that. But my understanding was that the $15,000 was to look at consolidation and improvement of services, which is a different issue rather than there's a study, this is half the cost of the study.
It was
I'm not
half the
sure.
cost of the study.
Well, perhaps
Right.
those that were here when the budget was made could speak to that. It was my understanding that $15,000 was allocated
Yep.
so that to collaborate with the county to to decide who you wanted to do the study, and that study would be done, not $15,000 for the city to make a determination that it's not worthwhile having that study. That decision had already been made when the budget was passed in 2023 for 2024. So, that's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments for our director?
I think let's just put that out there. It 100% was for a study, without even a hesitancy on, it being for just to see if it was collaboration. It was to go for half of the study's cost.
Which
Okay.
was agreed on by the former, staff.
If there are no other questions or comments, a motion in order to receive, would be in order to receive and file. Item 026825, is there a motion?
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Committee members.
Thank you.
Next.
You can go.
0306-25, communication sponsored by Alder Pete on behalf of the city clerk's office, submitting a new application, secondhand article and jewelry dealer for Wisconsin Discount Tobacco and Vape, DBA Wisconsin Discount Tobacco and Vape, located at 2724 16th Street. Nazreen Shabab, sorry, I'm gonna say it wrong, I apologize, agent for the 13th district.
Yes, my name is Ramya.
Excuse me, just a second, please, let me direct. Thank you for coming in. First, I would ask the, attorney, does she need to be sworn in?
Not for the type of license.
Okay, then proceed by, telling us what you plan on doing with your business, hours of operation, number of employees, adequate parking, things of that nature, so the committee has a better understanding of how your business fits in the community.
Okay, yeah, so my name is Rama Yasin. I'm actually speaking on behalf of my mother, Mr. Shihab, who's sitting over there. And we are reapplying for, or we're applying for this license. This business was run by my father, and he passed away, so we're reapplying for.
So sorry.
Thank you. And we were earlier here, I think in a previous meeting as well, for our second store. So this is our first store, and we're just applying again for a license for the store. This store operates as a tobacco and vape store, as well as a secondhand jewelry store. So we do some jewelry, buying more than selling there, but it mainly operates as a tobacco and vape store. So that is the main operation. The hours of operations are from 10 to 10, 7 days a week. And it's a family-run business, so we don't really have any employees other than family members. So my brother is the one that's managing the store, and my mom also helps run the store.
Okay. Are there any questions from the, yes,
Just
sir?
want to know from the city, is everything in order on this one?
Any issues?
No one's got any questions, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further questions or
I
discussion?
just have a
Yes.
comment. Sorry to hear about your father. It's a typical procedure, attorney, was their names not included? It was just the father's name originally on the application?
I don't have the previous application before me. But typically when a business transfers names, whether it's a change in the entity itself or there's a new owner under the same entity, we'll go through this process.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was one or if it was just the father's and we just needed to cross out that name, or we needed her to have to go through this process all over again.
Again, I can look up the previous application and see if it was under an LLC. Do you know?
No, it wasn't under an LLC. It was my father was, he was a sole proprietorship.
Okay, all right, well, then that just answers it, right
Okay.
there. Okay, I didn't see that, thank you.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. No further questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good
Yes.
luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, next is 030725, communication sponsored by Alder Pete on behalf of the city clerk's office, submitting a change of premise application for Buckets Pub Second Round LLC, doing business as Buckets Pub Second Round, located at 2031 Lathrop Ave, Marcy Dooley, Agent 14th District.
The attorney's office will have to swear you in.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
And hello, good to see you again. Seemed like it was about last year.
I think it was last
Yes.
year.
So, same process, please give us some information about your, business, anything you'd like to share with the committee. We know your parking lot and everything is pretty much the same.
Right, yeah, everything's pretty much the same. Last year, I had, come in to get some permits to do some events out in the front lot of the parking lot, and then, I was told that, asked why we didn't ask for the parking lot. We did, and it was just a quick, getting our license. So now, we are going to continue doing events, so we would like just to have that approved, that spot. We did a chicken wing eating contest last year, which we'd like to do annually. This year, we're doing it as a charity for firemen and, police in the local area. We'd like to do a farmer's market. If we get approved for upfront, we're gonna do it on the second Monday of, the month, May through October. If we don't get approved, we'll do it in our banquet hall. And, we also had talked about, we're a sports bar. We've done quite a few bus trips. They pull up, they have their liquor, they get on a coach bus, which is allowed in the state of Wisconsin. So we would like that area for the bus to be able to pull in when we do that. We did a tailgate party out front, during the day, hot dogs, dollar hot dogs and things like that. This time I am asking for, on the description, there's a little side patch, that the previous owners had, and they had a fence that, went around it, a metal fence, and then they had, summer furniture that would go in there that kind of connected with the other part. So we are asking for that this time
Is
too.
that on the south or the north side of the building?
So that would be the southeast side, yep.
Okay. Okay. Yes, sir.
I just wanna say, so all the years Buckets was there, they had this type of permit, they've never had any problems. And Marcy does a lot of stuff in the community, and they have to come and ask for a permit every time we do these. I just think we don't need to go there, and I'm hoping we give her what she wants.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
But wait a minute,
Okay, well, I'm saying I'll make a motion to approve,
Okay.
and then we can have discussion on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a
Second.
second? Any further discussion, question? Yes.
So this is more so, when I read through, the change of, premise, and it says the black asphalt lot in front of the building, and it says west, so, I guess I'm looking at the building, and does it, all the parking stalls?
We're not asking for all the parking stalls the first time. So Lathrop's here,
Right.
so that, I'm considering that the west side of the building, where the front door would be the west, okay. Yep,
I'm looking at it on my computer, so I can see it. There's,
Okay.
2, 4, 6 parking stalls I see up front. You got a handicap one there.
correct,
So it's
that part is what I'm asking for.
that front 6 parking stall area, and then the
No,
building.
I'm counting 8, I'm not sure
Oh,
where you're seeing.
well, I might, just this view of the camera.
Okay, yeah, so, so the lake's that way, so that would be the west. Right, I'm like.
Such a Wisconsin thing we do.
I know, they do. So, yeah, so that area right there, here, and
So-
then,
While you're, scribbling on that, would be my question, just for the record. Will that go into the record? I'm just, because when I look at this description, it's not clear. Yeah,
So, when she submitted this, we did not get a map from her, and we just
Okay.
did require a map for
Right.
change of premises, just so that we can see the exact area that's being included. So
Yeah.
that's why we gave her that sheet of paper, just so that we can see.
Yep.
That way, when an officer goes in, we can see where alcohol
Yep.
is stored, served, or sold.
So if that can be attached to this too, if it's up for review or,
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and you won't have to come back for a special permit next year.
Can I ask that you not change your cheese curds?
We won't change it. Or the chicken wings, I promise.
Not touch them cheese curds. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can I ask that we take an item out of, can we take item 0209, net? There's
Sure.
a lot of people here that.
209, which, 25?
Yeah, that's the one that the Alderman asked to have deferred.
Okay, sure, we
Can we
can,
take that one next?
sure. Okay.
020925, communication sponsored by Alder Pete on behalf of the city clerk's office, submitting a new application for a Class B intoxicating beverage and fermented malt beverage by Dream Social Lounge LLC, DBA and Dream Social Lounge located at 1518 Washington Ave, April Wright Agent, 3rd District. Recommendation of the Public Safety and Licensing on March 12, 25, which could be denied. Recommendation of the Common Council on April 2nd, 2025, to be referred back to the Public Safety and Licensing Committee.
a comment.
Oh.
Mr. Chairman, I would, make a motion to defer this item to the next, committee meeting.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further questions, discussion?
But, even though the motion was made to defer, there's a lot of folks here that have been here twice before, and they've been before council. And even though we're deferring the item, I would like them to have the opportunity to speak if they wish to
Today?
today.
Yes.
Yes, I feel that that's fair. Okay,
But I wanted them to be aware that this item, the Alderman had requested that this be
yes.
deferred.
I have a comment
Yes.
before you open up to public
And I'll
comment.
open it up to public.
So, this is something that I wanted to make clear. When I heard that there was this request to defer this item, whether it was stopped at committee, let's say it was voted to, deny this application once again, a denial would have came right back to the council. And the council then could have deferred it right back to committee. So just know that. And so I was sitting in a place of, okay, well, if we defer it, it comes back to the Public Safety and Licensing. It bypasses going back to the council, and it comes right back. So strategically, it ultimately, you're just bypassing one more to go back to the council, stir it all up again, and to bring it back here. Because you have a new council body that more than likely is looking to get it back here to get discussed and hoping there's a new Public Safety and Licensing body. So I just needed to explain that. No matter what, it would come back. So I'm gonna vote for a no on deferment because I gotta stay true to who I am until I'm out the door. And the reason why I deny it is unwavered. And so I'm gonna vote, not to defer it, but ultimately, again, whether this committee does not defer it, it's coming right back here anyway, so.
Just to be clear on what Alder Caprillion said, no matter what happens, if it's, for example, if it doesn't get through this committee or pass tonight, it'll go back to council, and it could be, if the council wanted to, refer it back here again. So we could end up in a vicious circle on this until one of the council finally said, no, we're not sending it back, just so you understand how that part works. The other thing is, we didn't understand about the request for the deferral until after the notices to the public had already gone out, so we couldn't defer it before tonight. So,
It would have had to been by the committee anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chair. The
Yeah.
chair would have had to decide whether to defer it or
yeah,
not.
so, but it wouldn't have been fair to the public or you all either. The public, you're here,
I think an Alderman had something.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so, I just wanted to go back to this whole process and things of that nature. So Alder Caprillion, when I was on this committee board, one of the things that we said was consistency, right? About making sure A, B, C, D, and E was filled correctly on this form, and that was something that he brought up with council, then it got deferred back here, and then it's gonna go back. So does it actually have to go back to committee, or do you have to, like, can it just end in the bud here or move forward, but it does still have to go back to committee then at this point?
Yeah, if it's deferred, it just stays here. It stays in public safety and licensing until 2 weeks.
Okay.
And if it was denied, the deferral was denied, and let's say the application then was denied, it would go back to the council as a denial, probably pulled up for separate consideration for that council body to probably refer it right on back.
As I said, we could go
So,
through
does that
a
make sense?
vicious circle.
So why,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so why are we?
okay.
Well, that's why having a deferral probably is best. You're bypassing council and back here. Although you'll still see it at the exact same public safety. It'll be back here in 2 weeks.
Okay.
No matter what, whether it goes to council or not, it'll be back here in 2 weeks. So-
Yes.
So I'd like to say this. So there will be a new Public Safety and Licensing Committee in 2 weeks. We do not know what that committee will look like. We do not know who will the chair or the vice chair will be. We don't know anything of that. What I can tell you is that we have an attorney that that advises and is a liaison to this committee. She's very thorough in training the members of this committee on the law and the statutes. And it's always been emphasized that we be consistent. And I am very hopeful, I'm very hopeful that the new committee will, comply with the state statutes. And the reason that I support this item being deferred here tonight is because I was appropriately admonished by a former alderman, and appropriately, and I say that because one of the first words said to me back in 2000 is, the only thing that matters is respect for the alderman. So when an alderman makes a request, as what happened at the last council meeting when the alderman asked that this be sent back, and then asked to have it deferred, you have to respect the wishes of that alderman. And that's why I support deferring and rolling the dice, if you will, with the new public safety and licensing, but I am confident that with the training provided by the attorney's office, that the new committee will understand, as we understand, how important consistency is.
Thank you, Alderman.
Okay.
And one more comment.
Yes.
And I think it gives an opportunity, and just to piggyback on Alderman Widener's statement, is the alderman has an opportunity, a lot of her constituents are here. These are people who actually live in the district. And then you have somebody who wants to open a business in the district. So it's good to allow her to immerse herself in what's going on, the applications that are coming forward, and what her constituents who are voting on her too want from her as well. So it's a good, trying to play a good balancing act, but she really needs to be involved in the conversation. And sometimes things happen so quickly, and you're not allowed this thorough due diligence. And so, hopefully in this interim of these next 2 weeks, she's having conversations with both. So it affords her more time, and sometimes I always wish we had more time sometimes to deliberate things, so.
Thank you, Alder. Brilliant. I know you all have been here before on both sides. Did you want to come up and speak tonight, even though
We'll be back in 2 weeks.
it's up to you. We appreciate you coming out, everybody. But I'd like to give you an opportunity if you want to.
Let's ask her. I mean, we'll listen to.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, that's good. We can wait for 2 weeks.
Okay.
But if she can speak today.
If she wants.
If you would like.
She's not
You know, she's not
No,
here
no, not
today.
her, the applicant.
No, the alderperson for the district wasn't able to make it.
No, but,
Yeah.
Talking about this here.
No, okay. Would you,
That's her call.
okay, would you like to speak to
If she'd rather not, if you would like to.
the applicant?
What?
No, the
No,
applicant.
behind you, we're looking.
Behind you, sorry about that. Alder,
Iris, that's why I'm like, Yeah, so
Oh,
I'm like,
got you. Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know, that's why
Oh,
I'm like,
okay, oh, yeah, that's right.
no,
Do you, is there anybody on this item? Because
Want me to go through my
yeah, why
list,
don't you
and
go
if you
through and you
want
guys
to,
say
you
yes
can
or no?
If not, okay, all right, so Richard Kemper?
I don't need to speak, I'd like to hear from her.
Okay.
Yeah, she'd be.
Aaron?
I will not be speaking.
Okay, Christina?
Yeah,
Christina?
so say a couple things off my thing, because I think that this is a larger issue, and so if we can work on, maybe working on a little part of a plan, so that in the future, we don't have so many issues going into this with liquor license. I think that, we have had a rough go for the last, 7 years plus since I've been there, and so coming in when I was, allowed into Racine, or into Uptown, the establishment that was there before me had a lot of issues, and so city said, you can open, and you can only be open until 2 p.m., you can get a beer and wine license, you can't have a liquor license, and you have to do food. So, based on what had happened in the past, those were the things that I followed, and I feel like we've used that kind of in different ways for other people who have come into a bar, but we haven't established anything that would make that fair so that everyone coming in had some basis to do that, and that would make it easier for the businesses to be sustainable. Give them some of the tools that they need so that they can come in and not, having a liquor license is a huge responsibility, and I don't say that lightly. It is not something that I don't even know if I really want, and it's a lot of work. And so coming in and not knowing what you're getting yourself into, because in all of the bar owners that I've spoken to, and past and present, sometimes they say they can't control, they didn't even know that the crowd was coming, they didn't know how to control that. And that becomes difficult for the police department, that becomes difficult for our neighbors, and that becomes difficult for everyone involved. And it's 3 seconds when something happens and it gets spread, and then we're left to recover from that. And that's not something that the bar owners typically take into consideration coming into it. And I know we have good neighbors, that's in place because we're hoping that people listen and say, okay, we're gonna have security and we're gonna clean our neighborhoods, but these bars do have security at them, and they are, they're coming in with the hopes that that works, but in all actuality, the security can't fix any of these issues that we're having, and even at 30 people or 50 people or 80 people, they can't control the crowds, and they can't control, and if somebody starts shooting, I don't know, what is the security guard supposed to do? Because most of the time, they're not armed, and then if they are armed, or we just, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, and so I think from talking with the past bar owners, we're looking at how do we, if you need security at your business, first off, that's kind of an issue, because you're already addressing issues that we probably shouldn't need to have. I don't want to do events where I have to have security at them, because that makes me more uneasy than if I know that I don't need that. And their opinion on that is that you can have 10 security guards, and they can be, my neighbor had ones that had AR-15s and face masks, and it was, that was there so that hopefully nothing happens, but that makes me more nervous than not having that. I don't know. Well, I don't know what the answer is, but I really would like to sit down with perhaps the liquor licensing committee and the zoning for the city and working with the chief of police and somehow coming up with a plan that looks a little bit more realistic to business owners coming in, to have a slow start. Come in and start slow and grow your business, and once you know the community, you're able to grow with the community, and I know that we need that growth, so I'm not trying to stop that, but there is a process to it, and there's a learning curve to it, and it's not as easy as one thinks it is coming into it, and so whether you say, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna do all the right things, and I'm gonna make sure that, this isn't gonna happen to me, we all have that great intention, but
Sure.
Unfortunately, that's not where it leads, and then it's too late,
Okay.
because then you have that, and I think I went over.
Thank you very much.
I have a question to her follow-up.
Sure.
Yes, yes. And maybe the question is for Attorney Arn, is in regards to the neighborhood meeting that is had before then,
The Good Neighbors meeting?
the Good Neighbors. Is there an opportunity for the neighbors to come and speak at that?
Yes.
And how do they get invited? How are they made aware?
Well, the meeting is staffed by, city staff, so it's not an elected or a body. So we don't have an open meetings requirement where we publish it. But typically we have the same days every month. It's twice a month. The week before the committee meetings is when I usually do them. And they're usually on Wednesdays from 10:30 to 12. So whenever a new applicant comes in, a new bar owner, whether it's a new bar or taking over a bar or a restaurant with no alcohol license, either a Class B or Class C, they meet with city staff. So neighbors are more than welcome to come to that meeting to observe. Typically, we don't have comments, but they are certainly there to observe.
So I'm wondering though, if the Good Neighbor Committee should or could be comprised of more than just city staff. If there was some, not necessarily elected official, but if it was an official committee that met regularly where we had citizens that could kind of mentor or guide or...
Well, it's not set up that way, you're right, it could change. I think one of the problems with changing it to an official committee that is required to abide by open meetings law, it defeats the purpose a little bit of a Good Neighbors meeting, because our purpose is really to sit down to go over all of the paperwork, to identify issues, and talk candidly with the applicant about issues that we've had with that location. Our community there, the health department there, the building department there, and we can really identify hopefully what are issues that may come up and talk to the applicant through some of those issues and give them tips usually on how to handle crowds or loitering issues. It works a lot better because there are no elected officials as a part of that, because we filter all the information out for you.
Right.
The goal is, by the time it gets to you, we get you a report of everything that we think is important that should be discussed, because you don't have that Good Neighbors meeting. You go before the committee usually doesn't have a whole lot of time to discuss each item. You're not aware of certain facts. Our goal and our priority is to raise these issues so that the applicant is aware of it and the committee is aware of it, so then you can discuss it and consider that when deciding whether or not to grant a license. So certainly, neighbors can show up and you can observe. I'm usually more than happy to talk to people there who have certain concerns. I've never had too much of an interest, but if neighbors do show up and they want to speak out or they want to tell me what the concerns are, I would be more than happy to address those concerns with the applicant so that we take care and identify those issues before we get to the committee.
Aldercall?
I guess ask Amber or knew about this. What about, like, usually when we used to get new bars open, they would contact people within so big of a radius. Could we do something like that for these Good Neighbor meetings? That people, because otherwise people in these, where these bars are gonna open may not know anything about this. And I just was wondering if we could get something out there, if any, let them know if they can come to the meeting and sign up the speaker, however they do it at your meeting.
I could add it to the verbiage that I send out when I send out the code red for the new locations that people can call us for or against. The license, I could add that verbiage in there with the date that New would have them scheduled for. And I know that the recordings are a little sassy sometimes when people get them, so they can be a little hard to hear, but that is something I could add to it, yeah.
I'm trying to put more work on you guys, but it would be an opportunity for neighbors that are gonna be affected by these establishments. So I'm just hoping, I don't know if we have to vote on, could we just, something that you guys could do?
I can add it into the code red verbiage.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an ordinance change or anything.
No, I know that, I just wanted to make sure without going through too much.
Yeah, we wouldn't have.
But it would be, it'd be a lot fair so these neighbors know what's going on.
Well, I even think on the flip side of that, it gives, businesses who are looking to establish in the area an opportunity to not be in a formal setting. It's very difficult when business applicants, come before us. It's so formal, and it's black and white, there's no gray. And it's a yes or no vote, and that's very difficult. But if you have a good neighbors meeting where they can start establishing the relationship with the neighbors and be able to work on agreements before even getting here, because it's prior to coming before us. So I think it's actually a positive thing for any business applicant. So if it is something, I don't know if that verbiage is something, that you want to come back here just to be reviewed by the public safety, or if you...
I think they know it.
I'd like to see us take an action, because what I see is that heart and soul of the public safety and licensing will be gone after this committee meeting. And I'd like to see what we just spoke of, continue. So I think once we vote on the motion to receive and, or to
I know what you
defer
mean.
this item, sorry.
I know what you
Defer
mean.
this item, that we also make a motion to include the verbiage. I'd like that to be a motion. And I'd like that motion to come from the heart and soul.
So that motion,
That was good.
would be out of order just because the item does not pertain to that at all. There's been no notice of that specific item. We can certainly do that and implement that. That can be done
Without a motion?
administratively, without a motion, and I don't believe a motion is in order for this specific item, because it's not relevant to this. But we can certainly.
Well, unless for the sake of all sakes, a communication could go through to get put on an agenda, on the PSNL agenda, just to review of the new verbiage that will go along with any new, just to keep the spirit of it, so communication.
I do trust that the staff will do what they say they're gonna do. That's not an issue, but like I said, there's gonna be a new committee and
Okay. Did you have anything else? I need to move on, but
I don't think so. I don't know if there's somebody that we could contact, or who would be a good person to talk about sitting down with, creating a plan like that before you get to.
I think
You
that's
guys-
just what was discussed.
yeah, that's what we're...
Well, I mean, even before, like, a good neighbor is this is what you're going to start with, you know?
Like the process
Yes.
that you
Mhm.
start from when the person comes in or makes the phone call to City
Yeah.
Hall.
Yes.
The process of the liquor licensing to
Mhm.
where people aren't vesting in
Mm.
$30,000.
Yes.
And then find out that they can't get a license. So that
There's so
process
many steps
internally
to this.
probably has to
Yeah.
be, looked at and reworked.
Yeah.
that's something Attorney Arn would be willing to sit. Would that be an appropriate place to start?
Probably needs a drive by an alder. Oh,
I don't remember if it was our, ordinance that was a couple of years ago that has to do with, the building department meeting with an applicant who wanted to start a business. So right now, the current process is they go to the city clerk's office. They pick up all of their forms. Their form tells them that they have to go through the building department, the health department, city development, the fire department to get their approval. They submit the application, typically starting with an occupancy permit, with the building department. And the building department does have a program set up to really, identify what work that person would have to do in order to get the occupancy permit and how much it would cost. That's where we start right now, and all that can be done prior to the person pouring money into the building. So we have that program that's available in the building. So that's where I would start. As far as the licensing is concerned, when it comes to an alcohol license, there's a pro and con to that, because certainly the person can apply for an alcohol license at any point in time. They can apply it as soon as they obtain, a lease contingent on a license, or, purchasing a property contingent on the approval of a license. So the purchase is not final yet when they apply for a license. They can certainly do that and go before this committee, draft up a business plan, show it to the committee, and the committee can choose to approve. The difficulty in that is the committee is granting or agreeing to grant an alcohol license to someone who may not have a complete business plan because they haven't done all of this work, they haven't built it up, they haven't figured out where alcohol is going to be served or sold, what sort of food is going to be served or sold. So, I mean, they can do that without investing all of the money, but then you're asking the committee to approve it based on perhaps a half-baked business plan. And that's difficult for the city as well, because once you grant an alcohol license, as you know, it's difficult to take it away. So I understand what you're saying. It's, you know, you don't want to ask someone to put in a lot of money before they get to that step. But I think there are things that they can do that are in place now that would avoid putting so much money into there before, you know, you get to the liquor license process. You can start with the building department, you can start with the health department for your license. Once you have those things done, and you have a solid business plan, before you pour any more money into it, you can certainly go to the committee and present, you know, a very detailed business plan. Based on how detailed that is, I think that's up to the committee at that point. I don't know if that answers your question.
All right, thank you. I don't think there are any more questions.
I got a question.
Okay,
Now,
they're gonna,
if this is getting deferred tonight, is it gonna go to city council at the next city council? So it will not be voted on then either?
No,
no.
it's coming back here.
Then, no matter what, after it comes back here, it goes back to the
All
council.
right. The next time this is spoken on, it'll be here.
Yes,
In 2 weeks, yep.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Tim Permit,
I'll pass.
Mario Martinez.
I'm not gonna speak, but I have a question.
Yes, sir.
To better understand the redundancy of this process. With who and when is the ultimate or final decision made? I guess it seems like this is.
Okay,
Obviously repeating itself. I wanna-
well, in general, and you asked the question in general, when a person applies, it's referred to this committee, then no matter what the outcome, it goes to the full council. At that point, for example, last Wednesday, this item was referred back by the city council back to this committee. That's what I was saying earlier. It could go on basically indefinitely. Well, unless the council stops it.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the will. The will is, it's gonna be up for final discussion of PSNL in 2 weeks. That new PSNL body will make a decision that will be referred to the council. So in 4 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, that'll be it. That council body will vote what comes out of the meeting in 2 weeks.
Unless they defer it again.
Yeah, they can defer it again.
Yeah. But
That's my
that
point.
I don't see why that new council body would. It would happen at this body's level. So in 2 weeks, if this body decides to defer it out, they could. I don't see it doing this ping pong. I think this is it. I think the reason this is happening is because there's gonna be a change of, a committee membership.
Okay.
That's why this is happening. That is not going to happen in 3 weeks' time. What you get is what you're gonna get.
Okay. Then we should continue with the motion to defer. We had a motion.
Yeah, she has a.
I'm sorry.
Let me still go through
Oh,
the people.
Did anybody else want
I
to
have
speak?
a couple other people listed.
Okay.
All right, so the next is Yusuf Buckley.
I'll just.
Yeah, I just want to say, on behalf of Buckley Investments, me and my brother, I reached out to the president of Uptown Bed, tried to have a conversation with her. Whether this gets a license or not, we own that building and we want to build a relationship with that community. So, before this happened, I'll take full responsibility for not reaching out. As a kid, I grew up in Midtown. And, you know, I grew up with A&P and Harry's Hobby Shop and all those places, Cornell Key Shop, my grandmother, we walked to the diner. So, as a good neighbor, I reached out to her. I'd like to invite you guys to come over and take a look at the building, and then try to see if we can come to some kind of compromise, because whether April gets the license or not, we're gonna still be there. And we have some plans that I'd like to share with you all, so that we can try to build not only just that building, but the entire uptown. If you drive through uptown, it looks dead. And we need to have the city behind us to help just revitalize that whole area. Because when I was a kid, it was lit up. There was a lot of businesses. But because of economics and big boxes, everything is shut down. And it shouldn't be that way. I'll reserve what else I have to say until next time.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there anyone from either side that would,
She has a list.
oh, you have? But someone said, all right, most of them.
All right, so next we have Oscar Salas.
I don't really want to speak, but Pete, I do have a question for you, Alder Pete, or the committee
Sure.
itself, right?
Go ahead.
Now, I'm just looking at this for both sides and fairness on both sides, because that's what I do as a media entity. Now, my question is, could we make a vote, and if it is denied, it's gonna go back to council regardless. They could either approve it, or they can slap it back down here. If they approve it, cool, the committee votes on it.
But
No
we
matter
already-
what, why don't we give them something to actually look at and say, hey, this is our reasoning, we talked to April, you guys wanted to know about all this other stuff, like parking and all that, if she has that in order, then hey, you guys make a decision.
Well, once it's,
If you hear the stuff from the committee, and the committee says, and if they sway you like, hey, that's not a good idea, then the committee actually has something to go to, and then no one has to hope for 2 or 3 weeks down the road. We have something sitting here at the council meeting, because we're going there anyway, might as well send it to them with either approval or denial, and then say, hey, if you want to defer it, defer it.
well, we already have a motion, and secondly, we're, as Alder Widener said earlier, we're trying to respect the wishes of the alder from the district also, who couldn't make it tonight.
All right, so next we have Ed Garza.
Denied right now, so everybody's present.
Okay, Diana.
No. Everybody.
Victor.
Well, I'm new to all of this, you know. I have some good friends, some good neighbors that are letting me know what's going on. And I want to thank you for explaining yourself about your business and stuff and her business going on, you know. I'm all about opportunities, you know, and being raised on Owen Avenue in Washington, I've seen business come and go. They failed because of nobody backing them down, backing them up, you know, and, I'm torn between letting them get a liquor license, but then again, I've been there for so many years, I've seen the violence and stuff and stuff thrown all over my yard on a daily basis, you know, but it's because people come from the liquor store or they come from the bar, you know, and they just trash. Now, I'm afraid that the kids are gonna get hurt down our block because adults don't know how to handle their liquor. You know, and every day I've seen cars go past fast. You know, so, my concern is I live right there where the parking lot's at, one of the parking lots, not where the building's at, but across the street. And if that parking lot gets full of cars, they're gonna come to the other side of the parking lot where she owns a business and I own a house. You know, so that's the fear I'm having about it. But I am, like to, you know, I'm about opportunities for the neighborhood. Because we do need something there, you know, to grow. And that's all I gotta say.
Thank you very much.
And then last would be April Wright. You want to say?
I really wasn't going to say anything, but I will say that,
Do you want to come up, because the microphone is actually right here? Just the microphone is here, just so she can be on record.
Sure.
So, I wasn't going to speak, of course, I know that this is not going to be the end all be all. I'm going through this journey just like everyone else. It's overwhelming for me because, of course, I'm new to this. I have done everything that has been required. And again, just like some questions that you guys have, as far as like the process of how this works. I wish I would have known as well to apply for the liquor license before I invested all that money, before even the occupancy people came out, and I had to invest more money into the building than was planned after I went through the Good Neighbors meeting, after speaking to everyone. So to be even able to come here, I had to pay for additional things to get up to code, for occupancy to even approve me, for the health department to approve me. I had to spend additional funds to get that done. So it's like, if I would have known that at the Good Neighbors meeting, I wouldn't have invested so much money. I would have been able to stop, and I would understand, hey, you're unable to get a liquor license here or whatever, go to the next journey or the next chapter in your life. But to continue to go through this, I have little children as well, so I'm coming for my kids, I'm taking time out of my day, I'm going from nursing to here every day, to hear this, and again, I feel your concern as well. So it's only so much I'm able to do. It's only so much talking I can do. But I can say you guys wanted to hear from me. You guys are able to communicate with me outside of here. I am open. I was not offered to go to the bid meeting. If I knew about it, I would have been there so we could address those things. When I first met the alderman, to do everything that was on the agenda for me to do before coming in front of you guys, I did everything. From meeting with the alderman, which I met with the alderman at the branch, where I was formally introduced to the owner of the branch, where we talked, where she knew what was going on with my plan, and we laughed. We talked about kids and staff, and I made jokes with her. We laughed, so she didn't offer me additional, like, hey, we have a bid board, this is what we do, maybe you should tell us more about your plan. I'm open for that. I'm open to adjust things or whatever, but at this point, it's like my back is against the wall. I'm only able to do so much, but just like you guys want to answer, I wish things would have been different as well, to give me the opportunity to say, hey, I'm unable to do this, so rather I go in there and make a cheeseburger and sell cheeseburgers. I had the option, but to go through all of this and not have an option is unfair to me based off of what other people have done, because the complaints are not based off of, it's not anonymous, like, okay, hey, you did this, if you do something wrong, everyone just flat out said, no, we're not approving. That wasn't the case. The case is people are complaining about what happened before me. I can't control what happened before me. I was not there. I can't make a change for what happened before me. But again, I hear so many people stating what I'm unable to do, and no one has given me the opportunity. I have ran successful businesses. I have over 10 years experience in the bar industry. I have a successful business right now. I have several successful businesses that I've been running and owning for well over 10 years. So I know what it is to be a business owner. I know what it is to manage a bar. No, I have not personally owned a bar, but I know what it is for crowd control. I know what it is as far as other things that comes with the bar industry. So I'm not just a fish out of water with it, and that part I do want to address, but I am open to communicate with you guys, get to know you guys, and again, ask these questions before we come here, and it's like we're going back and forth against each other, but no one actually spoke outside of here to give me the opportunity. So that's just pretty much.
So we can hear you in the mic.
Oh, so that's just pretty much, I wasn't planning on.
Okay.
Can you say all that again in the mic? How about next time? But no, that's just what it is. Just moral of the story, I am open. I do accept accountability of making an error. Again, I just had a baby 5 months ago. I still have pregnancy brain. So again, I addressed it, I take it flat out and accept accountability, and we can move forward to whatever you guys decide to do or whatever, but I'm just saying I am open to talk to the community, the neighbors, whatever you guys are suggesting, I am open for that. So if you guys want to meet or talk, I'm open for that, is more of the story. I would plan on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So,
Unless you-
Mr. Chairman, just so you know, because we're deferring it, you get to do this all over again, too. That's why I didn't want to say, but thank you.
Well, I'm hoping your alder has listened to this, because I think that would be a great role she can play in facilitating a meeting.
with the business and the constituents, that definitely is within the purview of an alderman's, role or latitude to do so, so.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much. Okay.
If you wanna ask if there's anyone else, some came in later.
Is there anyone else that came to speak to this particular item, 1518 Washington Avenue?
Yes, I would like to speak.
Come up, please.
Have you just state your name and address?
Absolutely.
Yeah, make sure you're speaking into the mic, please, otherwise you gotta do it over.
So don't turn this way. Corey Prince, City of Racine, Center Street. Just for the record, if I'm clear.
I'm sorry, could you give your full address?
1921 Center Street, I'm sorry. I see members of the Racine Police Department in the building. I don't know if the audience watching can also see. So we're talking about 1518 Washington Avenue, which is in the Uptown District, if I'm correct. And in that district, since the police are here, they may be able to recall or refresh the most recent violent incident that happened in the Uptown District, which that I can recall, and I think Nollan Media is in the building as well. Maybe they can do some research. Also, it was actually at the branch on Washington Avenue.
Okay, sorry, but we don't wanna call anybody out, period, okay?
But we did though.
No, I mean, please don't mention names or businesses or attacking.
Location, I'm sorry, 1501 Washington Avenue, if that's the right address. I'm sorry if it's not. But there was an incident there, violent incident, where people were persecuted, people were victimized, and it happened in Uptown.
Okay, we have a report, though.
But it wasn't discussed. You had lots of witnesses that came up here, sir. They talked about violence in their neighborhood. They talked about crime in their neighborhood. They talked about being afraid of people that do bad things because of alcohol and bars in their neighborhood. And I think it is fair to point out in that, because one of your speakers actually did state that people come from the liquor store and bars, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying that there were violent incidents that happened at locations in Uptown that were not 1518.
Oh, we agree. That's what everybody.
So let's agree then. But those locations still get to operate.
But we're not talking, just talking about this particular. I'm sorry, but I just wanna, go ahead, please.
I guess all he's asking is to stay on the agenda.
Yeah, stay on the agenda.
The agenda was why 1518 should be granted a license.
For deferral,
Yeah.
Well,
The motion is to defer.
right,
That's
we're
the
here
motion.
speaking, you asked for public comments, and
Yeah.
no one else spoke about it.
I know. It's been,
I know.
so just keep it going.
Thank you.
If you have
I appreciate
the
it.
floor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, as I was stating, there are lots of incidents that have happened in the Uptown area. Mr. Cool's, which was then named another bar, which is now named another bar, had a murder that happened. Still unsolved in the city of Racine, if I'm correct. And they're still in operation. There's another bar, Mr. Cole advocated for here, that we watched him advocate for in the Public Safety and Licensing Commission, that had a murder there of the owner of the bar and another patron just a year ago. But they're still in operation. So I'm just confused on why an organization, entity that's trying to operate in the city of Racine, that has not had a violent incident, at least to my knowledge. Oh, okay. Why they're not allowed that same grace?
I would just try to clarify a couple of things you said.
Sure.
There's another process,
That you already
for an
denied.
existing bar. No.
You denied it. The Public Safety and Licensing Commission recommended, right, to the Common Council, there was a recommendation from this body already, am I correct? What was that recommendation?
It is.
Right now, all we're talking about is the
Can we
deferral.
just allow, you have the floor for public comment, it's usually,
Thank you.
you know, so if you
Now,
have
we're
any
just making the
more-
public comment about that, and I heard people ask questions to the chair and to yourself, and they were answered. And so as a citizen and a resident, Am I allowed that same?
Yeah, yes, you are, but,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to answer this gentleman's
Go ahead.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I don't know if my answer will be satisfactory, but what'll happen, I think you came in late.
Mm-mm, I was watching.
From the beginning?
I was watching.
So what we had said in the beginning is that in 2 weeks, when this comes back after the deferral, there will be a new
What was
committee.
the original recommendation from this body?
Was for denial.
Thank you, that's what I said.
Yeah.
mhm.
So, but like I said, ma'am, in denying them though for no violent incidences and blaming them on everything that has happened in the past from the previous owners, I just simply highlighted how a sitting alder right here, Alder Coe, has advocated for another business to receive a license that has had a murder of the owner and another patron just a year ago, ma'am.
I understand that.
Okay.
But did that murder take place before the license was granted?
I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't know. But it still was granted and it still operated and let's,
So perhaps what you're highlighting is what gives this committee pause to grant another liquor license.
I would say that in all honesty, and I think that is kind of what's given the community the thought or the visualization of unfairness or unfair treatment here in the city of Racine, because again, and I think she's highlighted it every time she's come and spoke, and the few people that have spoke that don't live on Owens Avenue seem to be of the same mindset that everybody deserves a chance. I don't think it's fair to penalize any business for what happened to the business location before. These are totally different owners. This is just a location. And to then, literally, there's not a bar in the city of Racine that hasn't had an altercation. Not one. And I challenge you to find it. There's police calls from the public safety and licensing officers that sit on there, I'm sure, and we could do that research. But, I mean, we know the game of dealing with people who drink and go out, and there's things that happen. But to penalize someone and to deny them a license based on that, and especially when a lot of the lobbying is coming from people who have violent incidents in their own establishment, currently, I think it's totally unfair and biased. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from either side? Seeing none, we'll go back to, we had a motion and a second to defer.
Call the vote?
Can we continue? Motion to continue. The vote.
No, the motion is to defer.
Yeah.
Motion, move to, is there a motion to defer?
Yes,
There is a motion.
Yes, there's a motion.
That's,
You have to call
All in favor?
all in favor? All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Any further discussion? Motion carries.
We go back to the next item right before.
Yeah, back to 03/11/25.
I thought this was gonna be a quickie, I'm so sorry.
Communication sponsored by Alder Pete on behalf of the city clerk's office, submitting a change of ownership application for a Class B retail fermented malt beverage and intoxicating liquor license for Big Earns Bar LLC, DBA The Beacon, located at 3113 Douglas Ave. Ernie Petrowski, sorry if I botched your name, agent for the 7th District. Can I just ask that anyone who's going out in the hallways to please move her on down, please? Thank you.
My apologies, sir. It was my fault.
With the fun you're getting into?
Okay, hello, the attorney's office, if she's ready, we'll swear you in.
Thank you. You try to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please tell us what your business plans are, what you plan to do, your hours of operation, employees, parking, things of that nature.
Okay. Right now, the business has been run from 3 to 8 o'clock. I'd like to expand it out to probably 11. I did put midnight just in case something would roll over. We do mainly food there. They have a little bit of higher end food. We do like prime rib on every Saturday, big fish fry with 4 different types of fish on Fridays. Parking, we do have our own parking lot, actually on site. Outside that, we're just taking what Dan did with name good food and name decently priced food and drinks to, continue what he did after he decided to retire and moved to Florida.
Okay. Would you like
Neighbors
to?
meeting?
Yes, we did have a good neighbors meeting on the same, this business here, folks here. We discussed the business plan. It doesn't look like he's changing too much from the current business. He has been operating the restaurant as he stated for months. So he does have all of his license and permits from the health department as well as the building department.
Correct.
So he's just looking to add alcohol back in. He does intend to close earlier than midnight most nights, but he is allowed to close up through midnight, based on his application here. He did state that he plans to serve food whenever the establishment is open, so we did verify that. Looks like he has some experience in the industry. He operates, if I understand correctly, or his own dart company, and then he works for a company that rents out dart tables and pool tables, so he works with business owners and bar owners, so he is familiar with the business, but has never been an agent or had an operator's license before. Bartended occasionally, not extensive experience in the alcohol industry. We also discussed smoking and vaping. He has applied for a cigarette, vaping products, and tobacco retailer's license. I did explain to him that indoor smoking is prohibited. He does intend to sell mostly vape products, but obviously they would have to smoke outside of the bar. There's no patio, as far as I can tell from the business plan.
No.
And then I'm not sure if the police department has any issues that add, but that's all we discussed.
Sir? Okay. Committee? Yes,
I
sir.
just want to say it's been a good establishment for years and years. I talked to Dan a lot about it, stuff like that. I've never met him, but I've heard a lot of good things about him from other tavern owners and stuff like that. So I fully support this.
Any other comments or yes?
I am sad to see Dan go. I am so sad, but, he's run such a great business, and so it's probably a clean handoff, and
Yeah.
you're getting something good.
Yeah, and I told him, like, he said, he goes, like, are you gonna still do the stuff, like, with the food bank and the things that I was like,
Yeah.
so I mean, that's cool to reach out and be able to do stuff like that. And it seemed like, kinda had his hands in a lot of things for stuff like that, so I'm kind of learning more and more as we go on. I'm getting phone calls like, hey, you can still do this? I'm like, yes, we can still do that.
Such an asset to Racine, so you've got some pretty big shoes to fill. The question I do have in regards to you wanting to bring vape products on, you know, they, no nicotine in them. I don't vape, or I don't understand it all that well, but, is it, what's your rationale? I'm just curious.
Some people just like convenience to be able to grab things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I have named 4 different flavors, at that point, they can just grab them instead of leaving to go down the street.
And you know that then it has to take themselves outdoors and,
Well,
right?
with-
As long as it doesn't have non-nicotine, then they can vape inside, but with
Correct.
nicotine, and you plan to have non-nicotine.
It will probably be nicotine-based, but.
Okay, then they can't do that indoors.
Correct.
You're clear on that?
Yes,
Okay.
He seems to know the business.
I need to reiterate that.
nicotine
We've been
inside.
having
We're in about
issues with that.
Yeah, we're in about 105 locations.
So
That's
you
my
know
primary
very
base job,
well.
yeah, we're
Okay.
pretty much all day that I spend is in bars, so.
Seeing amusements, right?
Yes, there's seating amusement. I
Oh,
run
okay.
So,
Wow,
You
you're
got a
taking on.
heck of a track record.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
I have a question. So, and perhaps Attorney Ernst, I misheard you, but you said there was no outdoor patio at the establishment?
no, currently there's not because it was turned into a dog park for his dogs. So it's
Okay.
completely ruined.
Okay, so, and then even if you go out, like, so if you go out on the south side to those doors, like where that bench is there, that wouldn't be considered an outdoor patio area?
The north side?
North side, thank you, Melissa.
You talking about the ones that would go towards Douglas? There's not a
Yeah, so like, so,
Like a
okay, so
parking
you're looking at the
lot.
bar,
Douglas
you're
would
going to
be-
the north side, you go out there and you go to the,
Douglas would be
Right.
east,
so, okay.
or west. Douglas would be the west side of,
Yeah, so, and so you're looking at the west side, you're looking at the north side, that door area there where it has, those couple benches there, and then if you go to the east side, that's where it goes into
there's
that
not
outdoor
benches
area.
anymore.
There's not?
No, he took all that out to put in an actual, because, well, his dog, that is actually just basically like a porch to walk off now.
Okay, perfect,
Yeah,
so that wouldn't be considered a patio, but that could be somewhere where people potentially could vape?
Yes, they could.
Okay, because I know it's like kind of enclosed.
Or you could get some dogs.
Right.
Yeah, he had, two very large dogs,
Yeah,
I thought they weren't,
German Shepherds,
I didn't know that they're out there one day, I went to go in the backyard, and I was like, yep, nope, shut the gate.
Real quick.
I only mentioned that because as someone who was a patron, I knew that that was an access
Yeah, they
point
got
for
rid of,
people who were-
pretty much everything that was out there, I'm guessing he either trashed it or took it with him.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, there used to be, I mean, that back area, what used to be open to the patrons, is that a future plan of
Yes,
yours?
I would like to get it back open, because there was a bar out there and stuff, I said, but with the way that they destroyed that backyard, it's not really usable at this point in time.
We gotta love our children, our dogs.
Okay. No one has any questions, I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? If none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good
This-
luck.
And this goes to council next
Yeah,
Tuesday.
Yep.
Monday.
Or Monday, excuse me, yeah, Monday, sorry.
okay, then we'll go back
And again,
down,
my apologies for the long wait.
027-525. Ms. Slack, you ready?
So communication sponsored by Alder Weisner to discuss neighbor complaints at Double Vision located at 3101 Douglas Ave, 7th District.
Do we have someone here that wishes to speak on it?
John
Come up, please, John.
Carr, who wrote in to speak.
I think Amber, I didn't write in, but,
Okay. Go ahead, please.
Well, since the last time I was here, the place has been robbed at gunpoint at 6:30 in the morning, and at 6:30 in the morning is when I take my two children to school. This bar has done nothing but bring violence to our neighborhood. The owner has made several threats towards my life. Every morning, he's done it in front of the police, and the police tell me, just let him spout off, while he sits there and threatens me. In the morning when I take my kids to school, there's already a group of women that work there that sit outside, and they call me inappropriate homosexual names. They call me racial names, because we're a colorful neighborhood, and in the letters that I gave somebody,
Yep, we-
it clearly states that I am loved, I am a amazing person in my community, my community members count on me, and it states in those letters to keep their children safe. And they're even afraid to come to these meetings now, because we've been threatened by two different biker gangs. There's motorcycles up and down our sidewalks every night. The bar sometimes doesn't close. We have to call the city to get the glass cleaned up, because you can't even drive down the side of the road. And then he's got contractors that come there that get mad, and they whip full pieces of siding and garbage out in the road, and it's to the point where our windows are getting broken, our yards are getting torn up, and the city comes down on us. Like, I had a letter from the city, I had to fix a broken window, that somebody walked down from the bar, told me to come outside because he wanted to fight me, broke my window, and in 2 days, I had a letter from the city that said I had to get my window fixed. It's a revolving door of violence, and just people in my neighborhood are scared, and I'll say blessed with the one that sticks up for all of them, because they're either elderly or they're afraid, and they've all known me for over 30 years. I've been in that house for 45 years. There's 4 other bars in the area. There's no garbage in front of those bars, and there's no instances like this. We have swastika-wearing 1% motorcycle gangs every day, every night, up our sidewalks. And you know what we get from the police department? We get thumbs in the vests, and they just sit there, yeah. I get promised in emails that people are gonna look into it. I got arrested while I was on the phone with the mayor's liaison because something happened to the bar. He takes it out on us in the neighborhood. If you call the cops on him, he's outside screaming. He's parked blocking traffic so people can't go up and down the road. He's damn everybody if we don't show him our camera footage. I had an officer come, I believe it was March 1st, maybe. The bar got robbed, 6:30 in the morning. The night before, bikers up and down the road, doing wheelies, doing burnouts. People stop in front of my house, scream, call me names. Every time the police come, I'm blamed for it, and they pull stuff. I got 2 kids I'm raising by myself. It's hard. It's really hard, especially with epilepsy. It's really hard. You don't get no sleep. Imagine trying to go to work and take care of 2 kids, and you haven't gotten 3 hours of sleep in a week. There's times where people are still outside at 4:30 in the morning screaming. Now he's built this big concrete thing, outdoor bar. Why can't he fence it in? Why can't they clean up after themselves? Why do we have to be afraid to be in our own yards? Why is this guy constantly allowed to stand in front of the police and actually threaten my life? And it was on camera. In front of Officer Brandeis, the owner of the bar said, if you don't do something to him, I'll have him taken care of. He's threatened me with these biker gangs. I'm not afraid. I'm getting quite the collection on my phone from my Ring camera of me beating people up that are showing up on my door to attack me because one of the neighbors called the police. Or because we call the city because there's and it's not just 1 or 2 bottles. We're not being Karens or whatever they call it now. You go there right now, there's 15 bottles outside. People are going to the bar, getting drinks, leaving the bar, and parking on my dark corner and just going back and forth. Now we have a fentanyl house around the corner and another one across on Caledonia and Lombard, and the police tell me, oh yeah, we know about him. We arrested the guy last. The people are walking freely from the bar to these houses and back up to the bar. Before they would say, well, you can't say they're coming from the bar because people just do stuff, you know. Got Ring footage. What good is keeping all this evidence and all this footage plugged in my phone if there's nobody to show it to, if there's nobody to care? You were here when he attacked my dad in this room. 70-year-old man that was actually had a stroke. My dad actually had a stroke back there. That's why his face slid and he was drooling. And what did Kevin Coey do? He attacked my dad because my dad spoke about his bar. What do you think happens to me on a daily basis? You know, I don't want to use the horrible language, but I'm called homosexual slurs. I'm called a race traitor and an N lover by these motorcycle people. And this guy at this bar, he parks in front of my house. He parks in the vacant field that he doesn't own next to his bar, shines his light on my house at 3 in the morning. When the police come there, he's outside agitating every time. Every time. It's getting to the point where my neighbors are afraid and fed up. They're coming to me for help. And I've actually had to talk one of my neighbors out of going up there and doing something stupid because he said he's old and he's sick of it and they ain't going to keep him in jail longer than he'll be alive. This is a problem, and this is the 4th time I've been here. I've sent a million emails. I've tried to call the governor, the mayor. I've tried to explore avenues. I've tried to do what I can. It's to the point where we're going to start fighting back, and it is a problem. This is a problem. I'm not up here talking tough. I don't want to, make threats. We're all going to start fighting back. This is ridiculous. Swastika-wearing 1% motorcycles flying up and down our sidewalks. In those letters, you'll see our daughters are harassed. My daughter can't go outside without a biker saying something disgusting to her. She doesn't even go outside. No kids play in our neighborhoods. You can't put your dogs in the grass because it's smashed bottles, needles, and baggies everywhere. When's it going to stop? And when the police come, they do nothing. So sit up. I have broken windows from somebody sitting outside going, woo, woo, with his motorcycle. People pulling up with their bass music. The police pull up, they do nothing. They seem to be annoyed with us because we call. I stopped calling, but now every time the police come there, it's taken out on me in my house. And it's to the point where I'm going to start fighting violence with violence because nothing is getting done. I've had promises from the police department, I've had promises from all these avenues and places, and we've tried to explore all of this. What do we do? What do we do? We're literally held under the boot of this guy and his bar. You can plainly see in that letter, my neighbors have video footage and knowledge of the owner of the bar doing drugs in front of their houses. I got footage of him doing drugs in front of my house. I'm sick of finding needles in my yard. I'm sick of it. We never wanted this bar here. We never had a choice to say, we have a problem with this bar. We were never given that choice. Somehow it just went from the max to that bar, and it has been, hell. I don't want to come home. I don't want to turn down my block. I don't want to live in my house that my father sold me for $10,000 that's paid off, which all of you can say, that's a killer deal, right? It's a chance for me to raise 2 kids and have a home that's paid off that I can't be successful. We got neighbors that are trying to move. I can't move. I got kids that are under 18. I can't move because of my predicament with my ex. You know, you can't leave county, whatever. But it's to the point where no kids come outside. You can't bring your dogs in the grass without getting beer bottles, needles, or garbage everywhere. My neighborhood is a slum. It's an absolute violent slum. I can't walk outside and move my car from one side of the street without somebody saying something to me from that bar. Why is there no fence around it? Why is he allowed to have motorcycles on the sidewalk? Why is this happening? I'm fired up because, you know, it's I don't understand how to be passionate to you guys without freaking out or flying off the handle. It's to the point where we can't keep our cool no more in the neighborhood. People are coming to me as their representative, and I didn't necessarily want to take the part, but I'm the strongest one that can. So I will, and I am. But just how many more times, how many more acts of violence? The guy has the building next door to the bar that shares the property with a 20-car parking lot. Why are they using our street? You know, he has a parking lot. Just when is something going to happen? When is something going to be done? It's to the point where it's going to get ugly. And I'm trying to handle things the right way. You know, I may be a little crass, but we can't take it no. I'm shaking. We can't take it no more. Every time I see this guy outside, I want to go outside and smash his head in with a brick. Because when I take my kids to school, and I'm going to tell you what they're called. My son's called a fat faggot every morning. I take him to Horlick. Every time I drive by this residence, we're called names. You know, I have a beautiful, colorful neighborhood, and I'm dumped on for helping everybody in my neighborhood. It's a bar ran by somebody who shouldn't own it. And it's to the point where it's out of control. The police aren't doing anything. They literally pull up there when people are fighting, and then they shine their little light, or they just drive off. Or they sit there and roll with their thumb in their vest, holding their camera aimed at us, and they roll their eyes while they stand there. The owner of the bar stood there and told Officer Brandeis on video, get him the F out of here, or I'm going to do something to him, or have something done to him. That's a credible threat. I'm not going to be threatened by motorcycle gangs, especially not whatever they claim they are. You know, I see the 1% patches. I see the Nazi signs. I don't care. I'm not afraid. I live in that house. That's my neighborhood. 45 years I've known these people. They count on me to keep their kids safe. You know how crazy that sounds? That's a big weight on my shoulders when I'm trying to keep me and my own 2 children safe. My property's vandalized nightly. The neighborhood literally looks like a dump. It's disgusting. It's nothing but hate, pure hate. And something needs to change because the neighbors are fed up. And I don't know what to do anymore. Neighbors have been beat up. Elderly men have been beat up. Like I said, the owner threatened my dad in this meeting just because my dad said what the bar's doing, because at the time my dad owned the house. My dad simply stated what was happening, and when my dad walked back, the guy tells my dad, F you. And then he tells him in the hallway he'll kick his ass. And then there was a fight here. I don't know if some of you guys, people that were here, remember that, but we had to leave because he's trying to fight my 70-year-old dad. The guy stands out and tries to antagonize me every day, and it reflects in the letters that my neighborhood is writing. And it's to the point where it's going to pop. It's a balloon that's going to pop, and it's not going to be good. You got shootings that are happening there. You got stabbings that are happening there. They brought the barbecue place next door. There was a shooting within a week. Shot and went through the neighbor's house. My house is here on the corner. His is across. His bar is across the street. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. We're tired of it. There's nothing we can do. We've tried. And it's to the point now where we're fed up, and it's all or nothing. I'm going to jail over this. I went to jail over this while I was on the phone with the liaison from the mayor's office, governor's office, whatever. She was like, I'd like to work with you, I'm talking to you. And he decided to pull up in front of my house because he wanted the footage of his robbery from us neighbors. You know what happened when he just got robbed and put the video on gunpoint, on Facebook of the lady at gunpoint? The police came to all of our houses. We all refused to give camera footage to help him out. That's how fed up this neighborhood is with this bar. You would think I wanted to give my footage up because I wanted somebody with a gun off the streets. My back and forth between the bar had nothing to do with me giving up footage or not, but the rest of my neighborhood, they didn't want to give up footage of a gun-toting robbery at 6:30 in the morning. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to do. But thank you for listening. But it's getting to the point where I'm telling you, it's going to be really violent. And this summer, we are not putting up with 50 to 70 motorcycles up and down our sidewalks, people smashing bottles everywhere. It's disgusting. I can show you a video on my phone right now. You would all be appalled if you saw. The street sweeper drives around the garbage and doesn't even do it.
I'll let you know, they did make an arrest for the robbery.
Thank you. Good deal. Good. I'm glad they got him off the streets, because that could have been me taking my kids to school. But this wouldn't be happening if the violent crap wouldn't be going on at that bar.
Who is the alder in the district? Who is the alderman in the district?
He refuses to work with us.
Maurice Horton?
Yeah, he 100% refuses to work with us, and he's blocked all of us from communicating him. And I still have, and so does my neighbors. I'm the youngest one here. All my neighbors are all older than me. They're super old. But they'll all tell you all. Once he saw that it was swastika vest wearing motorcycle gangs, he refused to get involved. And his exact words to us were, I'm trying to promote my son's clothing line and push help for black youth. Well, you know what? We're a full spectrum, colorful neighborhood. We need help. He won't meet with us. He won't talk to us. He won't get involved. And he goes, it's politics. It's been 4 years of this. He's not been here once. He won't meet with us. We tried to have a meeting with him and the bar owner to corral the whole situation before Garbo Motors got shut down, because Dick Garbo was a pillar in keeping the peace. Now all bets are off. It's literally every night. I can go stand out there. I can pull up ring footage for the past 60 days and show you a crime probably 48 of the 60 days. I'm tired of kicking needles out of my yard. You know what the police department tells me? I'm not picking that shit up. So I have to do it. It's too much. It's too much. Way too much. Sorry for being so.
We understand your frustration, and I think I know you've been here before.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Before I call on the alderman or the committee, would the police department have any comments, or anybody over on that side have any comments at all? While he's still here.
Well, I mean, we looked up the cost for service for that. You said you had to stop calling.
I stopped calling because, I don't mean to cut you off, because when I ask for a case number to bring to these type of meetings, they give me BS, or dispatch gives me a horrible attitude. Well, you guys don't talk to the cops. Because when we go outside to talk to the police, Kevin from the bar comes flying out of the field, which he doesn't own, which he's parked in next to his bar, drives down there like a maniac and jumps out and starts cussing me, saying we're all pieces of crap, blah, 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 and it's just, it's horrible. He stood in front of the police and sat there in front of the police and my son and called me names. He told the police if they didn't do something to me, he was going to have something done to me. They arrested me on disorderly conduct. And all my neighbors flooded letters in and phone calls to the point where they dropped the case and they dropped it and they let me out of jail, and they even apologized to me and said I never should have been taken in the first place. It's bad.
Please encourage your neighbors that anytime there's an incident, please give us a call. That way we can record of it. Advance the number.
They won't give us numbers though.
They should be giving you a number.
No, we get horrible attitudes for the police department. Sir, I'm serious. They sit there with their thumbs in their vest and go like this and sit there back standing tall on their heels and just roll their eyes, and they don't care. They just sit there and shoot BS little, like, it's almost like it's pre-organized little sayings to shut me up or to shut other neighbors up. It's just, it's ridiculous. It's horrible. Horrible.
Like the sergeant said, we do encourage you to call every time so we can keep a record. Very recently, the police officers were all issued their own work cell phones. So you can request through dispatch that an officer give you a call. Dispatch is not giving you the complaint number. That's something that the officer might be able to do as well.
All right, sounds good. But I'm open for suggestions before it gets to the point where, because I mean, it's bad, frickin' bad. If I get called one more horrible name taking my kids to school, I'm telling you, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna frickin' lose it.
And when you call dispatch, ask them, because when they punch a ticket, they should be giving you a number, so.
They won't though.
You ask to speak to their supervisor.
I've had to make 2 complaints and complained about 2 dispatch peoples because they've gotten outright rude and disgusting with me on the phone. Now, all I do is call and say, hey, I have a noise complaint. I know you guys are busy. I have a noise complaint. It's for Double Vision Bar. Well, every time we come there, nobody comes outside and talks. We're afraid to. Nobody wants to. They're afraid. Everybody's afraid. It's fear.
It sounds like you have a new avenue now, is what was just disclosed with you.
But this is like the 50th Avenue I've been given, and it's just all, nothing
Better, at
happens.
this point, I feel your desperation, it's good to have a little something.
No, you guys really don't, because it's to the point where, I don't wanna shoot my mouth off, but it's to the point where the neighborhood is gonna choose violence. Stop. I don't care if I gotta go up there with a baseball bat and start knocking over bikes. I'm not gonna put up with it no more. My house, my neighborhood, I've been there 45 years. My friends Doug and they've been on the corner for 40, 50 years. Mike and them across the street, 40, 50 years. And this bar just comes in and no kids playing outside no more. You don't catch kids outside no more. You can't go in your grass. Sick of cleaning up mess. Every morning I gotta clean up beer bottles. Right now, full-size beer bottles. The only thing they changed is because I was complaining about the mixed drink glasses. They were coming out of the bar with and smashing everywhere. So they went down to plastic cups. Now those plastic cups are everywhere.
I certainly I think we all understand your frustration
Thank you, I
and your
appreciate it.
desperation.
I'm not trying to take it out on you guys.
No, we understand. I think we would feel the way you do under this. What you
It's
say.
hell. That's the only
We
way to
understand.
describe living there. It is hell. Absolute hell.
Thank all the wideness for putting it on the agenda, first of all. Would
Well,
you-
and let me just clarify why I did. We used to have what was called a Committee on Housing and Neighborhood, because we can't do anything, we have no documentation before this committee that can even call and question his license. When we had the Committee on Housing and Neighborhoods, we could take neighborhood complaints and do something with them. This committee, we only have control over the license, and until we have some documented evidence of something that violates his license, there's really,
Not a lot.
So what do? We just sit there and let people scream until 5 in the morning
Well,
at this outside patio?
what we will be asking for, and evidently it's already been happening. I mean, I'm looking at the last 2 months' worth of police reports, and they've been there 5 times on their own volition, and they've seen nothing. They've reported nothing.
You're right, because you call and you say there's 40 bikers there and the guy's waving a gun around, and this has happened, and my neighbor came in here and said he saw this with his own eyes. The owner comes out and helps him hide guns. When you call the police, the owner comes running down the street, he won't let the police get near the bar. It's just ridiculous.
What I'm saying is on these reports, these are not from calls for service, these are just random spot checks that the officers have been doing.
Right, but a random spot check isn't,
Okay.
Come live in my house for a week. You are all welcome to come stay for a week. I'm a good cook too. I gotta cook for 2 kids, so if they eat it, then you guys will love it.
Okay.
I went through over 40 years of a house with their bullets and everything, so it took me 40 years to get rid of it.
Yep, so,
That's another thing. I got bullet holes in my house.
Me too.
It's insane. I got 2 children living in there. What if I have to go out and shoot somebody? You know what that's gonna do to me?
Hopefully it doesn't come to that for obvious
That's
reasons.
what it's getting to.
Yes, yeah. soon as he
I don't know
was,
if you want me to come up here to speak.
whatever you,
I can fall back, because
Okay.
like I've said, what I've had.
so the,
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We are very sympathetic.
I appreciate it.
Please come on.
Do I need to stay, or?
No,
It's up to you.
it's up to you, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with, but we really appreciate it.
I'll hang out for a little bit, but
Okay.
kids are kind of giving me the whole, where's our chicken nuggets deal?
Uh-oh.
Thank you, committee members, and thank you all. I actually was invited to speak tonight because Alder Horton was at Parks tonight, and Wendy and Kevin were at a Tavern League meeting this week, and they were not able to attend this meeting this week. I got to know Kenny, I should probably call them that, Kevin and Wendy, in 2000, when they first opened, Double Vision, after it was, the Max had been closed for a certain amount of time. And they had already owned Still, which is their bar on Douglas. The Max was a very, very quiet, older bar. I don't want to say any of my particular things, but it was not a place that was contributing economically to the neighborhood or anything of that nature. So the neighbors were very used to a quiet, low-key area. What Kevin and Wendy have done with Double Vision, they have expanded their bar, their outdoor areas. He's talking about the concrete and the outdoor bar they created with the beautiful lights, that all the places that we like going to. I, as a female, that was the only place that I feel and felt comfortable going by myself, because of the respect, reputation, and due diligence of the bartenders that they employ there. Everyone is perfectly licensed, they understand the problems that are occurring, and as the gentleman who was speaking towards Dream Lounge, again, there's not a bar that doesn't go sometimes without incident, right? With alcohol, that's something that does happen. I feel as though, and I've looked through the camera production that Kevin and Wendy have, and they have alerts on their phones, they have it outside, and I drive by there. I drive down Lombard every day, sometimes to just take a little pathway outside my house to just see what it looks like, because they were good, dear friends to me, and to see what the cleanliness looks like, see what it is. And I'll tell you what, their street, I call it in my establishment the 2-minute rule, right? It might be dirty for a second, but then somebody comes in and cleans it. It can't be automatic all the time. That's what I refer to it as. And as my conversations with Alder Horton, he has attempted to work with other people in the neighborhood, along with the establishment, to be able to kind of come to a conclusion. However, I think based on the conversation, or based on what we kind of just witnessed, and kind of the police report with, again, they're saying no incident, there really hasn't been a lot of progress in that regard. And I think that because nothing serious of that nature has really happened, is probably because it's not warranted. And again, I walk there from my house, which is not too far away in the beautiful summer. It's just, a half a mile. And then again, with the biker community, there's several other bars in the community that are the biker community as well. So one of the things that they do large fundraisers, which does draw a bit more of a crowd. And these are nonprofit fundraisers that benefit the community. And I've been around these individuals at these events, as well as these individuals at different events. And again, I'm a little bit too free of a person, that I believe in everyone's goodwill, and I think everyone's a good person. But I've been to that establishment probably 100 times in the last 5 years, if you will, because I don't go out by myself. And that's a place that I do go, and I've never felt unsafe. I have witnessed 2 things that have happened there, which were health-related issues for patrons that the owners completely responded to right away. And I believe, and Wendy and Kevin being a part of Tavern League and what they do for that community as a whole, and I don't, and I believe, and again, there are special circumstances. No one wants to live near a bar, right? It's one of those things, but that's what you pick and choose when you live somewhere, and unfortunately, this gentleman said he's kind of stuck there. And again, it was slower traffic before, and now it's busier. But I really think what they are trying to do is the best that they can, with providing jobs, providing raising money for nonprofits, and trying to do their best with neighbors. And again, not everyone's perfect. in establishments that I've worked with, you know, neighbors and things like that, you know, you have those things and heated moments do come up. However, in my experience with the establishment and with the owners, and again, with the conversations with Alder Horton, I do believe that they're doing the best that they can, and they continue to do so every day. And I really mean that. There's no other, there's nothing behind this. It's just from my personal opinion, or like my personal experiences. And I speak with them often. They watch these meetings, they watch council meetings, they care about all of you. They really, really want to be on top of all this to have the best establishment that they can. And I know that just from my personal experience, so I just wanted to express that to all of you here today, because that is one of the last things I can do here. So that's all I have to say, but they're really good folks. And again, you always get a bad apple here and there, which is why you're all here, to keep eyes on that, and why the officers are there to do the checks and things of that nature. But for me personally, no matter what, I always feel safe walking by. I drive by there every day. I feel safe walking in there. I've never had a problem or complaint. So I just wanted to speak towards that. And perhaps, and when it comes before again, Alder Horton will be able to explain more so on his behalf about his experiences with working within neighborhoods, because I don't want to speak towards him, but we did speak about it. So I just wanted to step up and just say that because those other folks weren't here. So that's what I got.
Any questions or comments?
Okay, that's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
You bet.
Alder Sebastian. Okay.
Okay, well, I don't think there's anything we really can do with this except receive and file it and note that it was on the agenda, it was discussed. We kind of hear from both sides. It saddens me to know that this is the only place that neighborhood problems can go in a situation like this. We no longer have a mediation service through the neighborhood watch like we used to. We no longer have a committee on housing and neighborhoods where we could work with neighbors on issues like this. So this is really the only place where publicly we can hear the complaints and concerns of the neighborhood, as evidenced by the gentleman that spoke and the letters that were submitted. And we appreciate hearing from the other side, from Alderman Sebastian, regarding the COIs.
What was that about?
So,
Stay away from me.
so, I think, well, I would make a motion to receive and file.
Second.
Any further questions or comments?
Make sure she gets out to.
If not,
Okay.
all, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion to receive and file carries.
Great, well, thank you for being here.
Next item, 0269-25, communication sponsored by Alder Pete on behalf of the City of Racine Police Department, for the license finance report.
We need Sergeant Neighbors for that.
What's that?
We can't do anything till he gets back there.
We gotta swap you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I'm here.
No problem.
Thank you.
Just need to switch.
All right, thank you. Doing the report, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we had, 22 calls for service, since our last meeting. 3 for Copeland, Wisconsin. 11 was 627. And then the others were just kind of like different bars around. So, yeah, I do have one correction that I need to make, is that, complaint number is 5 Corners. It says on March 16th. It says for whatever reason, it says 13 block of Douglas Avenue was actually 1307 Avenue, which was 20 Grand Lux. And they were open and operating without a license and were supposed to be closed. It have 30 or 40 people inside who actually exited out the back once police got there, would not let law enforcement in once they arrived on scene. That was on March 16th, or that Saturday night.
Got a question about that. So 20 grand, they do have a license, a reserve license, but I know they haven't hardly been I haven't seen them open in months.
So on this particular incident, I believe the officers arrived, because they were, their lights were still on and there were people coming out of the bar after closing hours. When the officers approached, I don't know if they weren't able to get in ultimately. They did get a hold of Mr. Courtney Marshall, who is the agent. He informed the officers that his bar is closed temporarily due to staffing shortages and that he was not operating the bar. So I did send out a letter to Mr. Marshall indicating that any violations on the premises would still be his responsibility. He still is the licensee. He called me after receiving that letter, informed me that there was an issue with the landlord and the tenant on the upper level, and that somehow they had obtained the keys to the bar and were operating the bar. He claims without his permission. I did tell him that I would relay this information to the committee, that he would likely be called in because they weren't operating after hours, even if he claims to have no responsibility. So that is the incident.
So, Sergeant Neighbors, do, you guys ever go and check if any of these, that bar hasn't been open in forever? I mean, and I'm wondering if you guys could put that on your radar, that, because you have to be continuously operating. I mean, I drive by there 6 days a week after 1 o'clock in the morning, and I've never seen them open.
So
Make sure we make note of that too.
And I would recommend that if that is the issue, and it does seem to be an issue with him not opening, that you would make that a formal expression of concern.
All right, I will make that motion.
That's what I was thinking.
Motion second.
All right, and I got another, so,
He just made
You want to vote on that?
oh, we gotta vote on that.
Yeah. We have a motion, then is there a second? All of them in it?
Yeah.
Okay, you have a motion, is there a second?
a second.
I have a motion and a second, any further questions or objections? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. So, I got another one. I do not see it any place on this list, that big altercation that went on at Select 627. Not on here.
Yes, sir. No, I was looking for that too.
I mean, that was a huge fight.
It was. For whatever reason, I don't.
That was, I think, 4 days after we called them in.
Was that Saturday?
Yeah.
Saturday going into Sunday, there was
Yep.
a big altercation there where tasers were deployed, people were arrested, OC was deployed. For whatever reason, it is not on here, but I did write it up, so I'm not sure what happened. But, actually, Attorney New and I had actually spoke to that, heard about it too, so.
I think that was the incident where RPD had to shut down Washington Avenue to deal with the problem.
So my question is, since we never, withdrew our concern, what is our next step with that one? Because like I said, this was 3 or 4 days after we had just had them in.
So the appropriate motion would be to call them in for a formal expression of concern. They would come before the committee, assuming that the committee doesn't rescind that formal expression of concern. It would automatically go to due process. I would take a look to see if there are grounds to suspend or revoke their license and refer to the due process board.
We already did that, that formal expression, and we didn't rescind it.
Right.
And I thought if there was something within a certain period of time, triggered something automatically.
Exactly. So this would be the second call-in within 6 months, and that would trigger due process. But you still have to do the call-in, and then that would start that procedure, assuming you don't rescind it.
Okay. So do we need to have that report in front of us before we make that motion?
No, it's part of the license premise report. It's being reported by RPD, and it's on the agenda as part of the license.
And we have
premise
6 of them.
report. You can make that motion.
I make that motion. I got a question. How many officers were deployed for this thing? Do you have any idea?
I know that it was an officer who was providing extra attention, and then he actually observed or heard the commotion, and it just unraveled from there, and he called multiple other assists, so. Or how many officers responded, I'm not sure.
And how many arrests were made?
think there was just, they arrested one person, but citations were given for disorderly conduct to others.
I'm sure we'll get that information once the formal expression of concern hits our agenda. There'll be some, work done on getting us all that data, so I will second your motion.
All right. Any further discussion, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And we are adjourned. We're not?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I need a motion to approve the police report.
Oh, that's right, we went out of order.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion, opposed? Motion carries.
And I need a motion to approve 0270, the communication sponsored by Alder Pete requesting your consideration, any formal expression of concern or other actions pursuant to the police report.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I just got something I wanna say, this is my last meeting here. I just wanna thank all of you for new. Amber, you guys have gone over and above, you guys are a blessing to help this committee. Everybody should know that, I wanna thank Sergeant Neighbors. I don't know this gentleman, but thank you guys for what you do.
Sergeant Auckland, he'll be taking over as the RPD liaison after this meeting.
Is Randy Alkin your dad?
He is,
He was your dad, yeah. Okay, I know your dad. Thank you.
So, did you get promoted or demoted?
I'm going to a different position.
Oh, okay. I always wonder if this is a promotion or a demotion, well, welcome.
Nobody wants it.
We've had plenty, but I just wanna thank you for everything you guys have done.
Thank you, Alder Cole.
It's been a blessing.
Thank you.
Not always,
Oh,
but.
no, crying.
We'll miss you, Alder Cole.
All right.
Here goes.
And Alder Caproni.
Here
Oh,
goes the
thank
song.
you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you both.
Sure.
All right, working, nice working with you.
We adjourned?
We're